Man, Kentucky, they sure seem confident about beating Alabama this year.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luke Robinson. That's Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, and this is Locked On Bama. Jimmy, I didn't think we'd be talking about Alabama, Kentucky today, but all of a sudden it's like the number one thing. And it's the number one thing simply because, by the way, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I should have said that a little bit earlier. But so on Kentucky, the On3 site for Kentucky, Nick Roush, who is a writer for them and does a good job. There's no reason to think
he's an On3 guy.
Slightly touched in the head, but
no.
He has come out with an article, and I appreciate the boldness. I do. He said, prediction Kentucky will beat Alabama in week 2. And it's a little early probably to make any kind of proclamation of the sort, simply because you don't know. We're probably not even done with the transfer portal for everybody somehow, some way. There'll be some kind of loophole. I know all of it's closed and yada, yada, yada. But regardless, there's a Kentucky team that wasn't very good last year. And now he is standing on the mountaintop saying they will beat Alabama in week 2. First of all, when you hear that, Jimmy, what do you think?
I think that it's bold. It's awfully bold. I think Alabama's going to be favored to win by double digits. I think whenever you believe that a double-digit underdog is going to win, that makes it a very bold prediction. I would just remind people that upsets like this happen every weekend. I mean, it's not crazy. This is not crazy. I don't think it's wise to predict it as an upset. But my initial thought when I heard it was, well, this will be a fun read and a fun topic. But to me, it's not crazy. Now, I don't believe it's going to happen. I think Alabama's going to win that game. I think it might be closer than a lot of Alabama fans would like it to be. But I don't believe there will be an upset in this game. Why? Because this feels like an upset game. And by that, I mean, as Alabama fans, we got to keep this in mind. And in the Nick Saban era, this was not going to happen. But in the DeBoer era, we have lost a couple of games exactly like this. This wouldn't be a first. DeBoer lost at Vanderbilt, first SEC game of the year on the road. He lost last year, opening game on the road to a team he shouldn't have lost to. So it's not crazy for people to start predicting for it to happen because it's happened 2 years in a row. That's why that's not crazy to me. However, for all the talk in Nick Roush's article, which is not bad, I would suggest people read it. It's not crazy if you read it. He's quite optimistic about how good Kentucky will be and quite dark on how Alabama will be. And frankly, just my opinion, I don't think either of those things will prove correct. I think Kentucky is going to be challenging, and they will be better than they've been and different than they've been. But I don't think Alabama is going to be bad, and I don't think Kentucky's going to be great. So it still would be a gigantic upset to me, and I don't think it will happen in the one sense, Luke, because we can kind of see this coming, and I think we'll be prepared to play well.
Look, I also don't want to be a hypocrite. You and I have been saying, and we even said it on yesterday's podcast where we knew this article was coming out, obviously. We're just prophets like that. We said, look, what Alabama fans need to understand is at Mississippi State and at Kentucky are going to be tougher than they should be because we play them early. And if we played them late, I think it'd be easier because I think depth would catch up to them to a degree. Now, you could also say maybe Kentucky gets their feet under them with a new offensive system and they could be better. I guess that's one theory to take. I still think that I like to adhere to what I'm saying, that lack of depth will hurt them later in the year. And I also think that when we go to Lexington, second week of the year, that they will be they'll be primed and ready. They'll be significantly lubed up liquor-wise and ready to rock.
Once you talk about, you pulled up the schedule, why don't you talk about what time that game is likely to kick? Because I think it's a factor. The way I look at it, I think upsets in this game. Am I wrong when I say if we're kicking off at 11 o'clock, I'm going to worry more? And if we're kicking off,
you're wrong on that. I'm going to worry more at night.
You would be. See, I would feel better about it at night, just simply because the bigger the game feels, the more likely I think we play well. I think if it feels like the Jefferson Pilot game that kicks off at 11 a.m. on the road, I worry about our kids like being sleepy and not showing up to play Georgia, which is kind of what they need to do. You know what I mean?
I hear you. And I do want to get to the rest of the schedule because I do think that was one assumption that Roush made that is not a good. He said that the game is likely to kick off at 2:30 Central Time. I don't think that's going to be the case, and I'll explain that in a minute. But again, what I was saying was I don't want to be hypocritical because you and I both said we think Kentucky and Mississippi State are going to be tougher than fans want to accept.
Yep.
That said, we didn't predict Kentucky or Mississippi State to beat Alabama.
No.
Now, he does make an argument in there that Alabama went on the road and lost to Vanderbilt in the first SEC road game under DeBoer. That is 100% accurate. I think it's also overlooking the fact that we had just played Georgia and that Vandy team was better than what this Kentucky team is going to be. I don't think we're stepping my bounds. I mean,
I don't think that's crazy.
They have Diego Pavia. They had some really good players. They had a great tight end. Alabama also shot itself in the foot so much. Now, and then he brought up the FSU game. Again, I think that's very fair. And I think Alabama walked into that game thinking, hey, we're going to own this place, and we got our doors blasted. I don't have an excuse for that one. So, and I'm not really making an excuse for Vandy. I'm just saying that that's fair to bring those up. That said, the flip side to that is that, okay, I think now DeBoer and the rest of this Alabama staff and the rest of this Alabama program and team should understand, hey, we can't just walk into a place and think we own it anymore. That ain't us. We got to go in there and take it. So I'm going with the line of thinking that Alabama will be much more prepared than either one of those two games. That's, again, that may be my being a homer. Now, let's talk about
I agree.
Now, let's talk about the other games that day, because I thought this was outside of his actually predicting Kentucky to beat Alabama. And a lot of that was wish casting, by the way.
Sure.
I think that the biggest mistake he made was, hey, this game will be at 2:30. Let me tell you what else is on that day. Arkansas at Utah, and you think, well, that's not a big deal. I mean,
that's a good game.
It's not a bad game. Oklahoma, Michigan, Missouri,
Huge.
Kansas, Tennessee at Georgia Tech, Ohio State at Texas, and Arizona State at A&M. So of all those games, which game do you think is most likely to be the 11 o'clock when you add in Alabama and Kentucky? I would say right off the cuff that it's Missouri, Kansas, but I would probably put Alabama.
They're playing. They've already moved that game. That game's been moved to a Friday night.
Okay.
Like
well,
Missouri,
then that's
Kansas.
out of the picture. So if you take Missouri, Kansas out of it, then Alabama, Kentucky seems most likely to be an early morning kick to me. I mean, it's not going to be Arkansas, Utah, because that means they kick off at 9 o'clock. That's not going to happen.
I worry it's 11 o'clock.
I'm sorry?
I worry it's 11 o'clock like you. The more I think about it, the more I think it might be 11. And I don't want it to be, but I think it might be 11.
You say you don't want it to be. I've always been of the mindset that I'd rather play on the road at 11 because off air you were saying, hey, I think we may be sleepy. Well, I mean, they're going to be sleepy too. And let me say this. I think I'm almost positive last time we played at Kentucky, because I went to the game, Jalen Milroe played pretty well in that contest.
Yeah, he did.
And we ended up winning pretty big. It was an 11 o'clock game then too, because I remember walking around in the dew. I don't remember.
We played really well. We played really well that day. We played really well that day.
Yes, and I mean, I know that was a Saban team. That wasn't a DeBoer team. I understand. However, I would prefer it be an 11 o'clock versus a night game. The reason I like 11 o'clock too is what that does is when the Alabama game's over, and assuming we win, and I'm not depressed, that we will be able to go back and watch Ohio State, Texas, and Tennessee, Georgia Tech. And
that would be nice. I worry that – I say worry. Here's another possibility we hadn't talked about in terms of kickoff time. It might be the late game, the 8:30 type kick. Because here's the thing.
God.
Ohio State, Texas is going to dominate the day. ESPN, ABC, That's going to be the ESPN game of the day, Ohio State, Texas, almost certainly at 6 p.m. or 6:30, whether it's on ABC or ESPN. Here's the thing. I don't think they're going to put Alabama, Kentucky head up against that game because it's the only SEC versus SEC matchup of the day. I think it will get a unique kickoff time from Ohio State, Texas, which leaves 11, 2, or 8:30. Oklahoma, Michigan. Is that game at Michigan?
Yes.
Then that's a Fox game.
It's a Fox game, yeah.
That's a
that
Fox
could be
game.
11.
Yes, that very, very well possibly be 11. Now, maybe Alabama, Kentucky against that makes some level of sense to me. 2:30 still makes sense to me. But I'm going to guess right now before we start that it's going to be 11 or 8:30. It certainly won't be what I'm telling you. It won't be 6 o'clock because
I feel quite confident in that.
I don't think they're going to want that as a game against Ohio State. Texas. Obviously, ESPN airs multiple games at the same time every week, but I see them wanting Alabama, Kentucky as, hey, this is gonna bring a crowd, but we don't want it to mess with Ohio State, Texas.
And again, I get it. It's the first SEC game. It's a big deal. And it's Alabama with DeBoer not doing great on his first road games, all this stuff. Now, by the way, he did win his first true road game at Alabama against Wisconsin pretty handily. Mm-hmm. That should be remembered.
Yep.
He's also beaten Georgia on the road and LSU on the road. So if you want to kill him for losing to Florida State and losing to Vandy, that's fair. But then you very well should recognize he's won at Wisconsin, which I know it's not Ron Dane's Wisconsin, but it's still not nothing. And then he's won at LSU. And if you want to say, well, Alabama always wins at LSU. Okay, well, he won at Georgia. How many other teams have done that in the last 38 Georgia home games? None.
He won 4 SEC road games last year. 4 during the season. That's pretty good. 4-0 on the road.
In his first opportunity, Nick Saban didn't do that.
Yeah, 4-0 on the road in the SEC last year. So I don't think DeBoer has a road issue, but there does seem to be a early in the season road issue. And Kentucky is going to be a challenge. Look, I like Kenny Minchie, the quarterback that they signed away from Notre Dame via Nebraska briefly. But I like Kenny Minchie. I think Will Stein's a good hire. I like how Kentucky's approaching this in terms of like being the next Indiana. That's what they're trying to sell their fans and recruits on is, hey, look what Indiana did. Why not us? And they've been very aggressive in the portal, which they were not under Mark Stoops, but they have been under Will Stein. So I like Kentucky and what they're doing, and I do think that game is dangerous. But are they going to beat Alabama? I don't think so. Last thing I'll say about it, though, I'm predicting Keelon Russell will be the starting quarterback for Alabama in that game. That will be the best defense Keelon Russell's ever faced in his life. So let's think about when you're like, oh, there's no way Alabama would lose that game. It's Keelon Russell's first road start, assuming it's Keelon, against the best defense he's ever played, because you might not think of Kentucky in that vein, but I assure you their defense is better than what he faced in Texas high school football.
It's the best defense he's faced in his life, except when he plays Alabama in practice.
Practice. Well, best defense, I said, best defense he's facing in a game. Obviously, in practice, Alabama, for sure.
I think both things can be true. You and I are high on Kentucky's future. I really am. They're recruiting gangbusters right now. For them, gangbusters relative to normal Kentucky standards. And, they probably won't end up with a top 10, top 12, maybe even top 15 class. But they're going to be close. They're going to be close. They're going to have a better class than you think Kentucky should.
Landed a 5-star type quarterback out of high school. He's a number 2 or 3 quarterback in the country in his class, right up there with Elijah Haven. Yeah, I think Kentucky's a thing to some extent going forward. I just think week 2, that's a big ask. I don't know that they'll be that good that quickly.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, I think it's okay to say we're not insulting this Roush guy. I understand. He's like everybody else right now. You put out something like this and it generates some clicks, and I understand. Do I think he really believes this? Probably not. You know what I believe in, though? And I believe in FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. And when you're more informed, you're more successful. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. Jimmy Stein guarantees that at FanDuel, you can play your game. Also want to remind everybody to check out our Everydayer Club. That's the wrong thing. I got to take that off. So lockedonbama.supercast.com. Hey, well, I'll put that back because I know they still are raising money for my friend's son who is going through cancer treatments. And so if you want to go check out amandapair.org, you can do that. But lockedonbama.supercast.com is really what you want to go check out, because that's where you can get access to our Discord page. It's $5 a month or $50 for the year. I mean, it's like giving it away. Hey, Luke, how can your prices be so low? I don't know. I don't know how this works. I literally don't know. But we know that we want you involved in this. We had a couple of people join this morning I saw on the Discord page, so that's awesome. And look, here's the thing. There's not like 10,000 members here. No. It would be great if there were. I mean, it'd be better
good
for Jimmy
size for a conversation.
Is conversationally appropriate. It's not 10, because if you have 10,000 people you're trying to talk to about Alabama, one of them's going to be a jackass. That's our ratio. For every 10,000 fans, one's a jackass. So when we get to 9,999 people, we're capping it. Okay.
I was more optimistic than Nick Roush predicting Kentucky to beat Alabama. Just 1 in 10,000.
That is also me wishcasting that only 1 in 10,000 Bama fans is a jack. I see 2 of them right here. All right.
And we're posting there. That's a problem.
Yeah, we take up. So actually, we could get 20,000 because if me and you take up each one.
Yeah, everybody else is cool.
Everybody else is pretty cool. All right. Jimmy, roster countdown. Where we at? We got a guy. Look, you got a guy today. Jimmy, you got a guy today that I really like.
Yeah, me too. I'm big. It reminds me of the guy we did first in Bear Fretwell, and that's Malik Franklin today from Daphne. Now, why do I have him down here as the 86th best player on the roster? A couple of reasons. Number one, this is about who we're going to see this fall. Malik Franklin is a summer arriver. Now, not all summer arrivers redshirt. I can name a couple: Ryan Williams, London Simmons, Caleb Edwards. These guys played quickly. But in general, I think it's fair to assume that the kids that arrived this summer are a little bit behind the kids that arrived this spring. So that's number one. He's a summer arriver. Number two, it's a position he plays. This is an interior defensive lineman. I know he's listed as an edge prospect in recruiting and all those things, but Alabama views him as an interior tackle, a 3 technique guy that's probably, Jeremiah Beeman was viewed to some extent as an edge type prospect, and now he's 300 pounds. I think Franklin's going to be 290 pounds at some point. He's a guy that's grown a lot. He was only 200 pounds on the 9th grade at Daphne. I was reminded of the other day, just 200 pounds. Now he's at 260 4 years later, and no telling how big he's going to get at Alabama. I love Malik Franklin. This was a great take. He's a late bloomer. We need to remind ourselves sometimes in recruiting, when we see the list of guys we're recruiting, we think that's it. It's never it. There's always seniors that blossom, and that is Malik Franklin. No offers from anyone prior to his senior year, but in his senior year, he just blows up, gets multiple offers. Alabama actually stole him from Oklahoma. He was kind of all set to go play for Jim Nagy, who's the GM at Oklahoma, and go be part of a Brent Venables defense. And the heartstrings tugged Alabama as soon as he got that late offer from Alabama. Any kid that plays at the 6A, 7A level in Mobile and plays the scheduled Daphne plays and sets the school record for sacks and has over 20 tackles for loss, even though he's playing in edge positions, you can run away from him, and he still had 98 tackles. This is a kid that blew up, and I'm anxious to see how he does at Alabama. I just don't think we'll see much of him this fall, but I think he could be a star at Alabama down the road. Malik Franklin from Daphne.
Yeah, and I really like him just because, again, if you give me a sleeper from Mobile, I feel better than, say, a sleeper from Huntsville. No offense to Huntsville people. I'm just saying it feels like to me Mobile – I just know the Alabama high school scene, and, yeah, Huntsville's cranked out some incredible talent. but Mobile is cranked out like just otherworldly stuff on occasion. And it just feels like some of those guys may not get the attention they deserve for whatever reason. And so if I'm taking a flyer, all things equal, and you tell me that sleeper's from Mobile rather than anywhere else in the country, I feel good.
I wonder why that is, but I wonder if the theory behind that is just the way I view the state. The Mobile area doesn't always produce the best team that goes and wins the state championship. But it just seems like to me that Mobile, Baldwin County area is the best in terms of playing tough competition every week. Everybody's good. Like everybody's good. So the competition week to week is really good, although you don't always have the state champion, coming from the area.
It's sort of, to me, it's like, you're right, Mobile town, when you have some guys that are can't miss prospects in Mobile, let's say, and then they play other teams with really good prospects. Well, the can't miss guys overshadow the other guys.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were, let's say, in Huntsville, just picking out, it could be Birmingham too. I think Birmingham probably gets more attention because it's Birmingham. And
it produces the most prospects, the Birmingham area. I would say it still produces the most, just a general population.
Yeah, probably. And then, for instance, Montgomery seems like when they have a good prospect, he gets pretty hype. And then Huntsville, same thing, because maybe Huntsville and Montgomery, for instance, those two areas, when they do have somebody that's awesome, he stands way out because they may not have the numbers like Mobile. And so, again, this is all a theory. Somebody from Huntsville and Montgomery say, well, you're just Mobile this ass. I have nothing to do with Mobile. I'm just saying that it is one of those things that when you just have this intuition about it. A sleeper from I'd rather take a sleeper from Mobile, all things equal, than a sleeper from anywhere else in the state.
Yeah.
That's just me.
And again, to me, Malik was more of a late bloomer. Oklahoma wanted him. I think Ole Miss had offered him. He got several. I think West Virginia, Georgia Tech was in there. Arkansas State, for that matter. I think that might have been his first offer, but he didn't have any offers until about and I told the story before because I'm from Daphne, so I kind of know that area well. And somebody told me, boy, they got a defensive lineman that's coming out of nowhere. So I ran to Huddle to watch it. And I remember the very first time I watched him. Oh, this is a great point to bring up. First time I watched him, I'm like, I would love for Alabama to take a guy like that. To me, he was an Alabama take when I watched him on Huddle, and then I heard Oklahoma was coming to get him at the same time I'm watching him. But I thought Alabama's not able to take him because we didn't have any room. But room was created. You know why the room was created? We lost J.J. Finch to Tennessee. When J.J. Finch went to Tennessee, the spot opened up, and that's when Alabama aggressively went after Malik Franklin to replace J.J. Finch. And I'm telling you this, J.J. Finch was a kind of a national recruit. That was a guy we wanted. It's a guy everybody wanted. He ended up at Tennessee. I bring it up because this is always fun for me as a recruiting guy. J.J. Finch had all the headlines. Nobody had ever heard of Malik Franklin until his senior year at Alabama. What's interesting to me is let's check back in 4 years and see who's the better player. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys it's Franklin, but I'm telling you that sometimes it does end up that way, right? When you're like, well, we now we got room for this guy, and then he ends up being the better player long term. I certainly am not going to rule that out.
Could happen. Could happen. By the way, I should mention that this segment of the episode was brought to you by the Mobile Tourism Board. But this particular segment right here is brought to you by Rocket Money, because we love us some Rocket Money over here. I swear to God, I thought you just went out on me. I was like, you were making rocket noises.
That was a rocket noise. Yeah, that was my rocket noise.
Gotcha.
It's your money taken off.
If you've never opened your bank account and thought, where'd all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming, and it can get overwhelming. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clear picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow them savings, yo. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Go visit them today. All right, so a little bit later today, Alabama should get some very good news about one Kenneth Simon. Jimmy, we really like this guy. He's the son of a former Tennessee legend. He played at a very renowned high school in Brentwood Academy, leading them to their first state championship last year, an undefeated season. Heck of a player, linebacker, and he's also top 200 in all the services. Now he's higher in some than others, top 50 in some, maybe top 178 in others. But ESPN 24/7 and Rivals all have him in the top 200 at least. Looks like somebody Alabama targeted pretty early in his junior season, September of last year. So this would be a nice big pickup for the Tide.
If you're into recruiting rankings, and I know a lot of you listening are, y'all keep up with that and want to do well in the rankings. And I'm not against that myself, but he's going to help you in the recruiting rankings among other things. But most importantly, he's going to help the football team after he gets there. He checks so many boxes. You got to love the intangibles, being the son of a former player, the bloodlines. Dad even played in the NFL briefly, and then dad was a part of the sports staff under Jeremy Pruitt up there at Tennessee, Kevin Simon. But Kenneth, he plays the same position as dad played, off-ball linebacker. Dad was a thumper. This kid's more of an athlete, and I say all the time, today's linebacker is almost like an extra safety. Here's a kid that played safety in the 9th and 10th grade. So he's very adept at playing in space. He's now growing into his body. His dad was a 240-pound player, in college. Simon now up to 210. Kenneth up to 210 and growing. I just love all the package here in terms of the bloodlines, the fact that he plays in space, the fact that he's 210 now and growing. Nashville, Tennessee. You beat Tennessee for this guy. Georgia also wanted Kenneth Simon. It's not just Alabama beating Tennessee. Georgia also very interested in Kenneth Simon. So great pickup for Alabama if it happens. That happens. The commitment at 3:00. We don't know what will happen, but we have locked him to pick Alabama. It's a lock.
We don't know what will happen.
We don't know, but we're going to lob. But we're lob locking.
This is as good a sign language as I can do. I don't know how to do it. For those who are watching. If you're not watching, you didn't get any of it. But I thought it was interesting that on the Rivals page, it has his finalists as the following. And I will let you know that. I just had the dead gum page up. That is so
another tech issue on Locked On Bama.
How did I do that?
Here it is. Issue.
All right. Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. So those are the schools they're saying are his finalists. By the way, I was off a little bit. Rivals has him as the number 189 player and 247 as the 131 with ESPN 174. So he is universally 190, top 190.
So the industry ranking is going to have somewhere around 150, I guess. And
144.
And I describe kids this way in terms of how kids are either 5 stars or they're elite. And by elite, I mean national top 100. So 5-star, elite, national top 100, or blue chips, which is an old term that us old people use. But to me, blue chips are top 250, top 300 type guys. Those are national prospects. If you think about the top 300 players in the country, those are national prospects. Around 250 to 300 players are drafted in the NFL draft. So I think that's a good dividing line of who are blue chip players. And to me, Kenneth Simon is blue chip, but kind of moving towards elite status, which to me is cut off at top 100. He's probably not top 100, but he's knocking on the door there at 144.
All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.